I'm now going to call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. And I will tell you that Chair Barrera has notified me this morning that she would be attending remotely today pursuant to an applicable just cause. The circumstances of the just cause today's teleconference participation is contagious illness. Chair Barrera, do you have anyone else over the age of 18 present at your remote location with you?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to you to run the meeting.
Okay, thank you. And sorry for the late notice. Can you guys see me okay? Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first item, call to order and roll call. So if everyone can go around the room and introduce themselves. I'm Lorena Barrera with District 3.
Nancy Pemberton, District 5.
Jennifer Solito, Assistant County Executive.
Matthew Chavez, Iolero Director, Iolero.
Brett Kidder, Sheriff's Lieutenant with the Sheriff's Office.
Trevor Ward, District 3.
Nathan Solomon, District 1.
Susie Marches, District 1.
John Azevedo, District 4.
Michael Miller, District 4.
Lisa Camacho with Iolero.
Thank you.
And let me just remind you, even though we don't have an interpreter in the room, there is somebody interpreting, so you still need to speak slowly.
Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the July 8th meeting minutes. Are there any questions or amendments from CAIC members?
I have, there's one that you noticed this morning, which is that on the, I'm trying to say the page number, on page 10, in the original packet is now fixed in your current packet, in the packet this morning. Item number 7 said item 6 and 7 instead of 7 and 8. That was tabling our ad hoc committee meetings and returning to the regular meeting. So that's all that was, but it's just 7 and 8. Okay, there we go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so is there any public comment for the minutes? I don't see any hands raised in the room. Is there anyone online who has comments?
No.
Okay, so we'll,
sorry. Judith Gilbert as a racer.
go ahead. If you can call on who's the person who has their hand raised, please.
Yeah, I wanted to just comment, and maybe it's at the later part.
This is only on the draft minutes that were published in the
I'll
agenda
wait.
packet.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
thank
did
you.
see it related, but I'll wait.
Okay, thank you. So we'll close public comment and bring it back for a motion to approve as amended or as published.
Michael Miller.
Okay.
I move.
And then because I am attending remotely, we have to do a roll call vote. So Lizette, can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Do we get a second on that motion?
No.
We need a second first. Somebody.
Oh, we didn't get a second? I thought
No, Susie.
Okay, thank you, Susie.
Vice Chair,
Approved.
Chair,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Abstain.
Councilmember
Aye.
Solomon, Councilmember Marquez,
Aye.
Councilmember Acevedo,
Abstain.
Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
and Councilmember Jones.
Abstain, absent.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries. Moving on to current member attendance, openings, and appointments. We didn't include the attendance record in this agenda packet. It will be included in the next meeting. I like to just remind everyone that there are attendance requirements that are in our bylaws. So if you are an appointed member, our job is to represent the community and we should take attendance seriously. So please remember that there are attendance requirements. We do have openings in District 2 and District 5 and in the at-large position. So if you know anyone interested, please let them know that they can apply for consideration and possible appointment by their supervisor if they're interested in joining the CAC. Number 4, oral reports. We'll start with the Sheriff's Liaison report. Lieutenant Kidder.
Yes, good evening. Following up from last month's CSC meeting. And or anything that's happened since then, Vice Chair Beverton asked for a presentation from Michelle Hume, who works at our agency. She manages, among other things, is the ICE related information. We're trying to get her here for tonight's meeting. However, in order for her to present an effective presentation and get her thoughts and information straight, we did schedule that for September 9th. So she'll be here for the next meeting to present on immigration related information. A presentation will be similar to the presentation that she provided to the immigration ad hoc a few months ago. I think it was now. Was it a year
Several
ago?
months ago.
Was it a year
But it
ago?
hasn't been
Not a year
now.
ago yet, though.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like November, I think.
Was it November? Yeah, well, anyway, it'll be similar to that.
Yeah.
I know at the last meeting, maybe even the last 2 or 3 meetings, there was an inquiry if the sheriff's office and or the DA or a combination thereof could present some sort of presentation regarding arresting and prosecuting ICE personnel. I looked into that. There will not be a presentation. There's no presentation put together, and there is no specific training related to that or presentation related to that. At the last meeting, I remember that there was an inquiry into the newly formed and developed Sonoma County Sheriff's Foundation. So reporting on that, it is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to supporting the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office and the communities it serves, straight from the website. The main goals consist of sponsoring children's programs within the community, purchasing critical items that aren't or weren't budgeted for. That comes with a couple caveats. It's they have to be one-time purchases. Whatever is purchased can't have recurring costs. There's got to be some sort of critical need, and you got to show that there's a lack of funding for it, that specifically that are getting budgeted. An example of something that might be purchased was a few years ago. Our SWAT team, the helmets that they have communication devices in them, right, radios and such. For whatever reason, they all went down. None of them worked, which posed a pretty significant liability and officer safety, deputy safety, to not only the operators, but anytime there was an incident, if they can't communicate with one another, communication is pretty big when it comes to tactics and you know, trying to neutralize any sort of issue that they may be facing. When they looked into trying to remedy the situation, it was an extra $30,000 that just wasn't budgeted for. We didn't have it in the budget. So they had to wait until the next fiscal cycle in order to get those communication devices replaced and fixed. So this foundation would potentially, if it was presented to them, would potentially take that under consideration and then decide if that was something that they would want to help supplement and fix for the sheriff's office. The other opportunities that the foundation supports is funding professional training and then community-based initiatives that enhance the safety and prevention efforts within the county. To be clear, the foundation cannot be used as a steady source of supplemental income. Again, it's got to show a critical need and that there just isn't the funding to purchase it through the normal means and the other avenues. And if you want more information about that foundation, there is a website that outlines the board of directors and provides a bunch of other information at SonomaCountySheriffsFoundation.org. And then the last follow-up from the last meeting, actually, again, it might have been 1 or 2 meetings. I've been working with Sergeant Negri to put together I guess we're going to call it a use of force simulator training for CAC members. I found out about an hour before this meeting that the agenda that he put together has been approved. It is open to CAC members as well as Iolero staff. It is not open to the public. It will consist of use of force, Senate Bill 230, Assembly Bill 392 information, Penal Code 835A information, as well as simulator training, as well as scenario-based training. It'll be an 8-hour day. If there's concern that, oh my gosh, am I gonna have to go through defensive tactics and my role? No, you don't have to do that. That's gonna be more of a presentation. Scenario-based training is gonna be presentation, open for discussion. Sergeant Negri is excited to present it, and he's got some of his defensive tactics and use of force instructors lined up to assist him and to role play and then have meaningful discussions about the types of trainings that we go through. And that is scheduled for August 18th, I believe, is the date that seemed to work out for the most CAC members that have already shown interest. It's not too late. We can take a few more. So if you're a CAC member or a member of Iolero, you want to partake in this, please let Lizette know, or you can contact me directly as well. Some community engagement events since the last time we met. There was only a couple. There was a Read on Sonoma lunch and a pack of patrol car. And then the last bit of information, as we get into the final days of summer, especially with temperatures increasing, we're seeing a lot of people go to the waterways here in Sonoma County. Just friendly reminder that waterways can be dangerous. If you decide to go to a waterway, cool off, completely understand. I try to do it myself as much as I can. Stay alert, know your conditions. Children and folks that can't swim very strongly advised to wear some sort of life jacket or flotation device. If you have children near a waterway, please supervise them closely. Shallow water can be just as dangerous as deep water. If you decide to consume an alcoholic beverage while you might be sitting by the river or the lake, do it responsibly. And then again, just be prepared, check your gear, tell somebody where you're going, and know emergency contact numbers. Not just have them saved in your phone, try to know them, at least one or two off the top of your head. And then regarding the immigration information that I report on for July, notifications received from ICE was only 32, which is down about 23 from last month. My math is right. ICE requests for information was 6, which was down 1 from last month. We did not return any notifications, and there were 0 arrests in the detention facility by ICE. That is the extent of my report.
Thank you, Lieutenant Kidder. And I just wanted to add on the training comment. There are 3 of us. So the language access ad hoc requested the training, and there are 3 CAC members signed up. I think we want to avoid getting a quorum, because if we got a quorum, I think we have to publish an agenda and it's considered a meeting and we can't invite the public to that training. So I think we can only take 1 more person if they were interested. So I just wanted to bring that up, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think we would have to publish an agenda because it's considered part of the business that we kind of work on. So in a way, official business. Yeah.
We can take anybody more. Because we have 11 slots, we have only 8 filled, so a majority would be.
3?
I think 3 is a minority, I think 4, am I correct on that, Tom? Matt? I'll look at the bylaws to double check. Well, let me ask this, let me just interrupt. Does anybody want to go? Anybody else who hasn't signed up want to go? Then
Yeah, I'm interested in going.
You're interested in going, okay, let me check on it then. I'll check on it.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Nancy. Okay, we'll go on to the. Oh, are there any questions from CAC members on the Sheriff's Liaison report?
Can you repeat with the 8, you said SB 230 and AB
392.
392. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to the Iolero Director's report, and we'll take public comment at the end of all of the reports. Matt?
Okay, the report will be relatively short. First, the annual report is currently under construction, and we anticipate presentation to the Board of Supervisors on October 6th. If the CAC is interested, I'm more than happy to do a separate devoted presentation to the CAC to answer more specific questions on anything coming out of that. So if you want to docket that for a future meeting, I'm more than happy to make myself available for that as well. The second point is the triennial audit. I've been informed by the company, the auditors who are conducting that final version of that should be ready by August 21st. That's next Friday. And we may have to do some work once it's finalized to do the county-based remediation before we can get it published. But once we have the final version, we're going to work as fast as we can to get it out to the public. We anticipate presenting that to the Board of Supervisors on October 6th as well, along with the annual report. And we will going to try to get that out to the public as soon as we can, so that you have plenty of time to read it prior to the presentation at the board. NACOL conference is coming up in November. The CAC members should have received an email from our office. We have capacity to take two, as we've done in the past, two CAC members to the conference. It's in Louisville, Kentucky. Those who are interested, please let our office know by Friday of this week. I believe we have one person who's already expressed interest. If there are other, please let us know. There is also a very good opportunity for NACOL training online, which can be done as a whole, or it can be broken into pieces depending on the interest that any particular member has. We are happy to work with you to sign up everybody or anybody who is interested in either all or some of that particular training. Just let our office know. We'll be happy to take care of that for you as well. We are proceeding apace to keep our caseload under control. We're working hard to get that taken care of while the process goes forward with the county on the selection for recruitment for the permanent director. I don't have any updates on that. That's something the county will have to provide information on. And finally, as I mentioned at the last meeting, I have an open invitation to you all to identify any topics that you believe that a presentation by my office to you would be worthwhile or handy for you to use at any time on any of the topics that we can provide our assistance and expertise on. So that's an open invitation. I'm going to repeat that every time I come, because it's something that I think if you do need the information, I'm more than happy to present that at any future date. So that's that's the information I have for today.
Thank you. Any questions from CAC members on the Iolero Director's report?
I just want to say hi, Matthew. I don't think we've spoken or that I've seen you since Chicago NACOL a couple of years ago, and congratulations, and look forward to working with you.
It's good to see you again, Casey. Appreciate that. Your words of encouragement. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the CC Public Correspondence Report. We don't have anything to report on that. So now we'll take public comment. Is there any public comment on the reports that were provided? And Nancy, if you can help me if there's anyone in the room. I don't see any hands raised.
In the room, Jim Duffy. In the room, Jim Duffy.
Oh, okay. Jim, go ahead whenever you're ready. You have 3 minutes.
So I have a question for Brent and a question for Matt, and I know you don't have to answer because it's comment, but I'm going to ask the questions anyway. For Brent, the foundation, I'm wondering about transparency on the foundation's income and expenses beyond the 990. I know it's a nonprofit, the 990, anybody can go and request that that be provided to them by law. it would be, I think, being that it is a police foundation, it would be useful to know who are the donors to it and exact, line item of the expenses that go out. So line item income, line item expenses would be wonderful. And if we're not getting that, they're not obligated by law to give that, but that would be a wonderful thing to get. And to have up on the website. And then for Matt, with annual report, John Alden had implemented a couple years ago, town halls. He would do a town hall on the annual report. And I think you attended the town halls. So I'd like to suggest that we maintain doing that. I don't think they were particularly well attended, but questions were asked and answers were put out. It goes up on the website, the county's website. If people have questions in the future, they can go and watch that. So I'd like to request that that be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Is there any other public comment?
Yes, Judith Gilbert online.
Judith, go ahead when you're ready.
Hi,
And
thank
this
you.
is just on the reports that were provided.
Right, so, it's on the Iolero report. There seems to be some, and when you're doing your audit, so I think this fits. There seems to be some, gap between, actions that happen with the Sebastopol police and the sheriff as a whole department. And I had a particular personal incident. I tried to bring it up to Iolero, and I think it was 7 times. There was a message on the answering machine, please call us, we'll call you back. And then I'd say, please call back with 3 times, I will try to meet you. And there was just no response to that request. So it was just phone tag for basically 8 months. And I think if you're trying to do oversight and you're trying to do an audit of what happened this last period, that's valuable input. What is the number of people who try to reach you and are not followed up with? And then the second piece is the Sebastopol little unique, I guess, way of dealing things and how that interfaces with the rest of the county. So those are my pieces of input.
Thank you, Judith.
Appreciate a response if there's any response.
Thank you, Judith. Any other public comments that you're seeing, Nancy?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll close out public comment, and I don't know if they can be addressed by Lieutenant Kidder. If you know if they're going to be publishing any income information on the foundation, that if you want to report on that, and then Director Chavez on the other comments.
I spoke with the president of the foundation before this meeting. He said everything is transparent. But I don't know if it's specific to line items, and if they're planning on publish who the donors are, so I'll have to follow up. He said it's all transparent, but probably what you're talking about is just whatever's required. I don't know that they're gonna go above and beyond, but I'll have to double check. Thank you.
Thank you.
With respect to the town halls, Mr. Duffy, you were right, we have done those in the past, and I am more than happy to work to put those on and continue that tradition. And so we will take every effort to get that done. As far as the other comment on the Sebastopol Police and the Sheriff's Office, I'll have to look into our records to find out what that's about. I don't have that information from me, but I will look into it.
I just wanted to comment on I'm sorry. On use of force training. Yes, you can go.
Okay, awesome. And then I guess I understood the public comment to kind of ask if we include information in the audit on how many like complaint or communications Iolero receives regarding complaints that don't get addressed, like considering what she said about phone tag and stuff. Do we include such information in the audit?
We do in our annual report, yes, we do report communications made to our office that were not complaints for informational or that we submitted to other agencies or things along those lines. So yes, we do have that information and it will be included in the annual report.
Perfect. Judith, hopefully that addresses some of your questions. Okay, I think we can move on to our business items now. The first item is discussion and possible action to waive attorney-client privilege regarding County Council's legal advice related to the proposed candidates forum. So just for public awareness, the CAC received some confidential memos from County Council in regards to the topic of the candidates forum. But because they are confidential legal memos, we aren't able to release them to the public unless we all vote to do so, which is why we have a business item asking for the CAC to consider doing that, and if so, approving that waive of attorney-client privilege. So Nancy, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add before we have a discussion and then take public comment and then take a vote.
Well, I just want to say that the legal advice was given to us. We're like the clients, and so we actually hold the privilege. Privilege doesn't belong to the lawyer, it belongs to the client. And so we're the clients, and so we have to decide whether we want to waive that privilege or not. And perhaps some of the other lawyers in the room would like to say more about that.
I simply move to waive attorney-client privilege and to on both the letters we've gotten recently.
Good. So I think my response is I'd like to hear a little bit of advocacy for that position. And I'd also be interested in knowing what discussion has been had, if any, with other county officials, including county council, about the CAC taking this action.
So I had a conversation this morning with Cara and Jennifer. I've also had a conversation with my own supervisor about this. Those are the only conversations other than with this morning with Cara and Jennifer. Those are the two conversations I've had personally about it. I don't know if any other CAC members have contacted anybody in the county about this. The reason I would like us to waive the privileges to the letters and actually to include my conversation with Cara this morning is so that we can have a full discussion about that advice, about how we want to respond to that advice and do so in a public meeting. And unless we waive that privilege, we can't have a public discussion about the confidential, legally privileged advice we received.
And I will say I have also spoken to county council staff regarding these memos via email and not with Kara, but with Jennifer. Well, Kara's in the email conversation, so yeah.
And I will add that I did have, in response to the first letter, I wrote Cara and asked for some additional information, which prompted the second letter.
And I also asked questions after the first memo was sent, and my questions were sent via email.
Multiple of us, I think, notified Ms. Solito, so she was, bombarded with emails, but I think it makes sense to waive privilege on this, and so we can all have an open discussion and not just have single emails being sent to the county exec office or county council, so.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So my question is, what has the administrator and or county council communicated about the issue?
The administrator hasn't,
About the memos or the?
About the
tax?
waiver issue.
Waiver, the ability to do the waiver came from our central county council, Josh Myers. It was his suggestion that that be the approach that the CAC could take if they wanted to discuss this and open it. And then I communicated that to Lorena as an option to put on the agenda. That's how it got here. So they are fully aware of that.
Okay,
And under the logic that Nancy explained, that you're the client, you own the privilege. So you have the authority, if the majority votes, and to release that and waive that privilege essentially.
that's very helpful. It feels like the ground has been well prepared, which I didn't know the detail of. Yeah,
I'd also like to, this says to waive it related to, well, it does say to waive the attorney-client privilege, the privilege regarding county council's advice. So I want to make sure that that includes not only the letters, the written advice that we received, but also the oral advice that I received today. So that, I would want that included in the motion. If that's okay with you, Michael.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I take it, Nate, you seconded it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, before we do a vote though, let's take public comment. We do have to take public comment on this item. Is there any public comment in the room, or do you want to wait until the next business item to provide public comment? I don't see any hands raised in the room. Sorry, my screen is like super small.
No hands and.
Okay. Okay, we'll close public comment then and bring it.
Stop.
Oh, she took it away.
Never mind.
Oh, no, she's back.
Okay.
Is there a hand raised?
Sheena, do you want to speak right now?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just, of course, we all want to know what you're talking about. So please waive it so we know what you're discussing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. So if there's no other hands raised, we'll close public comment. And we have a motion on the floor. And Lizette, if you could just take a roll call vote, please. Oh, and can we clarify the motion for the record, please?
I make a motion to waive the attorney-client privilege in regards to the two letters in the email and verbal discussions that we've talked about here on the record today.
Okay, and then
Thank you. Vice Chair?
Approved.
Chair?
aye.
Councilmember Ward? Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez?
Aye.
Councilmember Escobedo?
Aye.
Councilmember Miller?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That motion carries. So is that, I don't know if you have printed copies that can be passed around of the memos. And also if you don't have those, if you can pull them up on the screen so that we can go over business item 5B, which is discussion and possible action regarding county council's legal advice that the CAC not host or participate in a proposed candidate forum.
1 second.
And being that the CAC did receive these memos via email, we can start conversing about them. If so, does anyone want to start the conversation? I will just go ahead.
I don't know who might be best to summarize these communications for our citizens who are present.
I will try and do the best I can.
There
With
it
a little
is.
help from my friends, I assume, okay? So on July 27th, after the CAC, actually Iolero and CAC's newsletter announced that our intent to hold a candidates forum, we received, Lorena and I received a letter regarding that, a letter from Cara Elbison, our deputy county counsel, regarding that. And the letter initially said that under both federal and California law, the CAC government agencies are prohibited from engaging in campaign activity. Where that then went was that even an informational forum, a nonpartisan informational forum, can be considered to be campaign promotion if it's not handled in exactly the right way. I'm just gonna give you some review, like it, you can all chime in, okay? It also addressed an issue of NACOL code of ethics, which later seems to have disappeared. But then they noted that each of us are free to engage in political activities in our individual or personal capacities and use personal time and resources. We just can't use county resources, and we shouldn't do it as an official body. And so it says, CAC as an entity may not host or participate in the proposed candidate forum, nor may any county resource be used to support such a forum. Because an announcement has already been made publicly, the CAC can issue a public clarification that they will not be participating. So that triggered some questions from Lorena, having to do with the fact that CAC has actually done 2 forums in the past. One in 2017 and another one in 22 in connection with the sheriff's campaigns. And I wrote and asked for specific citations to the Hatch Act, which is mentioned, and California law, because I wanted to do my own research, and also had asked about the NACOL. So we got a supplemental letter, which, that's the supplemental letter.
Can we put that one up as well?
I don't have that one. August 6th.
I was on email.
I don't know, you know.
I'll forward it to you right now, was that?
So specifically, she mentioned Government Code 8314A, which states that it is unlawful for any elected state or local officer, including any state or local appointee, employee, consultant, to use or permit others to use public resources for a campaign activity or personal or other purposes which are not authorized by law. Then there's a definition of what public resources are and imposes a civil penalty. Government Code 54964 states that an officer, employee, or consultant of a local agency may not expend or authorize the expenditure of any of the funds of the local agency to support or oppose the approval or rejection of a ballot measure or the election or defeat of a candidate by the voters. And then Penal Code 424 imposes criminal liability for the misappropriation of public funds. And then there is a Supreme Court case that seeks to interpret this, which says that observing that a fundamental goal of a democratic society is to attain the free and pure expression of the voters' choice of candidates, we concluded that our state and federal constitutions mandate that the government must, if possible, avoid any feature that might adulterate or indeed frustrate that free and pure choice. So that the Supreme Court held that absent, I'm reading directly from the letter, held that absent clear and explicit legislative authorization, a public agency could not expend public funds to engage in campaign activity. While the Supreme Court distinguished between informational and campaign activity, it recognized that the line is often blurred, an activity that may have been intended to be neutral or for informative purposes only can nevertheless constitute improper campaign activity based on the style, and this is a quote from the Supreme Court, okay, style, tenor, and timing of the activity. So again, CAR recognizes that we want to hold a neutral forum, but even a perception of impartiality would place the CAC and county at risk of being charged with a violation of the above mentioned law. This could include not all then she gives us reasons, you know, like not all candidates appearing or being sufficient notice. Questions or topics seemingly favor one candidate over another, the location of the forum or the seating arrangements. Not enforcing strict time limits or the wording of the questions or the tone used in delivering the questions differing from candidate to candidate. Defending against the charge of violation of these California statutes would be expensive, and if unsuccessful, could result in fines and penalties. And then regarding the Hatch Act, a more detailed analysis of Iolero's funding sources would be required, but it likely applies if there's any federal funds involved. So for these reasons, the county council's office strongly advises against any county board, commission, or entity using county resources to host a candidate forum. And then, again, we can do it individually, we can spend our own money, but. Well. So I think that summarizes the advice. I will say that this morning, I tried my best to suggest that county council might be able to be more involved in, like, figuring out what questions to ask, figuring out all of the time, place, and manner questions that could increase the risk of somebody complaining about us. And the answer was the county council does not want to invest that time, essentially, and that they have determined that the risk is just too high. So they strongly encourage us not to do it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Um,
You want me to call people? Okay.
yeah, or Jennifer, I don't know if you want to wait for questions, or is there anything that you want to add from county council's perspective or side?
No, I mean, that's my understanding is from what Nancy heard, that their concern is even if we curated the questions, which is what I heard Karen share with Nancy today, that the perception and FPPC violation claim is up to any member of the public, right? And there could be a perceived conflict in how someone else interprets the question, and then county council would have to defend that. There's costs associated with that. So they don't see a good way to, even if they tried to curate the questions and invest that time and resources into doing it, that it doesn't guarantee, right? There's nothing that is risk free. So that's what I think I heard them share with Nancy as well. The other concern, just for transparency, because Lorena did waive or raise with us that there's other commissions that have done this, like the Commission on Human Rights and
Commission on the Status of Women.
Commission on Status of Women. So we have looked into that. It's also something that we weren't aware of that had occurred in the past. We have a new county council, obviously, so I think there's some things that are, either been changing or there just wasn't oversight in it. So this is now the direction that is going out to all the boards and commissions. We have about 60 or 70 boards and commissions that are board appointed positions. And this was going to be the direction from county council going forward to all of the groups. That's the only addition I would add to that.
So county council didn't know that these things had happened before?
That's our understanding.
Really, there's no record of that?
There's record of it, but we're not sure if anything was communicated to council in advance to ask. Right, and to be very transparent in this, it got flagged by an individual. Nancy knows who this is, and I don't think it's a secret. What I think happened is it got flagged because county departments are not allowed to participate in any sort of campaign election activities. The newsletter said Iolero and the CAT. The question was raised, how can Iolero do this, right? This is specifically departments, county staff, everyone has been repeatedly every year, every election cycle, we hear you can't do this, so how is this happening? And then that broadened when county council started looking into it, saying, well, yes, clearly a department cannot participate, host these resources, but also board appointed positions also under this. So I also think that was maybe not something that got flagged before because there wasn't this request to look into it, just to be very transparent, that's my guess.
And so if it's not a secret, who flagged it?
Supervisor Hopkins.
I will say, and I did not say this to Carl, so I'm saying this, that I was informed that at least the as to the CAIC-CHR 2017 form, the county council was consulted on that one.
Mhm,
And at the time, the county council approved it.
mhm.
And
So-
also, I just wanted to add that the reason I brought up the commissions is because the individuals serving on the commissions are appointed by supervisors, and we've had some supervisors that were around during those times. And I thought it was surprising that they also didn't know that commissioners whom they appointed were participating in candidate forums. So I just thought it was weird that it was coming up at this time.
Yeah, I don't think it, to be very transparent, would have been flagged if it had just been the commission. It was flagged in terms of the department engaging in the activity as well. And then again, new county council, new level of analysis, and this is the direction that we have.
So Supervisor Hopkins who asked for this analysis,
She asked that, she didn't ask for this particular analysis.
did we find out who did?
She asked for an analysis
I see,
to be done.
okay.
She told me, like I said, I had a conversation, so she told me that in all of her trainings, that it had been clear to her that, you know, her staff, the county government was not, absolutely not to do that. And so she raised it. I think that, Matt, you had a conversation with Cara and Jennifer about it. And then Cara issued the first letter. But I just want to make clear, she didn't ask for that particular analysis, she asked for an analysis.
I understand.
It was
I just want to make sure that everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think her wording was more, to what your point, this goes against everything that's my understanding, can you please provide like the legal authorities or something about like, what is the legal authority that allows for this? Because this doesn't go with my understanding, and then that triggered them to go look at what the legal regulations were that apply to these groups. And then I don't know if it was you or Andrew, somebody asked, can you put this in a memo so we can explain it to the CAC versus just saying, no, you can't do this, but can you put it in writing so folks can understand why this is changing?
When is she around in 2017?
I don't know, actually.
When is she around in 2017?
She was not aware, I asked her about that, she was not aware of.
Because she was on the board, I think, by then.
Really close.
She may have been brand new because she may have been elected in that election.
Yeah, I think maybe so.
Okay.
If I may, I think the letter is wrong in its legal analysis, and completely wrong, actually. And it seems advocacy against having a candidates forum on Measure P.
Anyone else?
Yes, Jennifer, this not engaging in this kind of stuff is county policy now, right? So for example, if the head of another department, whatever, Parks and Rec, or, I don't know what your departments are called, wanted to put this on or something like it on, the county administrator would say, you're not going to do that. That's
Correct.
contrary to policy. You won't be doing that, Director. Is that true?
Correct. The caveat that I want to give is you can campaign on your own personal time,
Yeah,
which
I
if everyone is aware of, without using your title,
I get
right? So,
Yes.
because I'm thinking about, Parks has a measure that's gonna go on the
Mhm.
ballot, I think this year. They have hired campaigns with their foundation money, not with county money. My assumption is some of those employees will probably go campaign for it, but they're not allowed to use their laptops, their emails, they're not allowed to wear
Sure.
their clothes, they're not allowed
Understood.
to identify themselves as.
Yeah, I
county
get the
people, Which
difference.
just applies to all of you, right, which would, I think with some of the conversation we had today and then in the letters, if another group wanted to host this candidate forum and the CAC members want to attend, they can attend as individual members, but not representing, not
Mm-hmm.
wearing the badge, not representing, just like other county employees.
Sure.
The same kind of.
Sure. So this, in my hypothetical, the Parks Department is a different animal than Iolero. Iolero was created by a vote of the people, and administratively, you guys have shuffled the deck over the last couple of years. and slotted Iolero into some kind of a reporting position to the administrator's office, et cetera. So some of that has been changed, but Iolero is its own critter, created by law in a different way than these other departments. So would the answer be the same if the director of Iolero came to the county and said, we want to put on this forum? Would the, and again, it's a hypothetical, would the administrator's answer be, no, you're not going to do that? That's contrary to county policy. And therefore, I mean, the administrator has different rights to control, et cetera. The Iolero Director, it's more of a reporting thing, as I understand it, rather than, you know, maybe one of these other departments where I assume the administrator can, you know, discipline, separate, you know, whatever, whereas with Iolero, that would be different. I guess what I'm trying to get at ultimately is, has the administrator taken the position that it has the power to prevent this body, CAC, which is not Iolero, but, you know, a citizen's body, to prevent Iolero from holding this if it wants to hold it?
So I want to preface all of this with I am not an attorney and Kara was supposed to be here, so I want to.
Yeah.
What I think the answer is. but
I'm not gonna bark at you if you don't,
Please,
you know.
My understanding is those California regulations apply to any government body regardless of who they report to. And the same rules apply to the Open Space District, which is a separate district that doesn't even report to the CEO. Just reports to the board, to the water agency. I think, and I will speak for Kidder, that it still applies to the sheriff. That's why the sheriff can't campaign in his, you know, super.
He did.
Okay. He's not supposed to. I know that was a violation of his flag. This is quite in the future. I'm not in law enforcement. So my understanding is these rules are not specific to the county. I'm not an attorney, not a law enforcement person.
Sure.
Clearly, apply to any government.
Understood.
Employee, regardless of.
Understood.
County, city.
Yes,
whatever, right?
but that's a different question than the question I asked, which is,
Go ahead.
does the county administrator take the position that it has the authority to prevent this from occurring?
Oh, that's an interesting. Yeah, so. That's interesting. The county executive has authority over some departments. So to just be clear for the public, some departments are appointed by the county executive. Right? Parks is an example of that. Some departments are appointed by the board and report to the county executive for like day-to-day operations. Iolero is in that bucket. The probation, chief of probation is in a similar situation, appointed by the court, reports to the CEO for day-to-day, you know, approval operations, administrative budget authority. And then there are others that report to the board. The electeds don't report to the board. Open space, water district, those sort of special districts that are appointed by the board, report to the board. But then the board has delegated policy authority to the CEO. So there's a very like web of relationships. I think our position is the county executive has authority over administrative processes within the county. The board has delegated that to that position, including related to Iolero. If Director Chavez went out and did it right on his own accord, obviously we cannot control that, then that would be subject to the board's authority in terms of discipline, right? Because that position is a 4/5 vote and removable of the board. The CEO does not have authority over discipline or removal of that in their direction. That's probably more than you wanted. I don't want to explain the web of
No,
structures.
I was aware of much of that. So, yeah, and so we're not the Iolero director. We're somebody else. We were created by the same law. I guess, I don't know, am I right in saying the answer is, the administrator's position on my question has not yet been formulated?
No, so I think your question is, what if the CAC did it anyway? What happens?
Yeah,
Is that a question to ask?
what position is the administrator taking
Over the
on this question?
The CAC.
Yeah,
Okay, let me follow up on that.
of course, yeah, thank you.
I would also like to point out that the CAC has no separate budget. The only under Measure P, Iolero staff are supposed to staff our commission, our council, and we use Iolero's resources to do things. So we would have to, we would be potentially using Iolero's Zoom webinar equipment. We would be asking them to use the mailing list that is created both by Iolero and CAC to get the word out. So the overlap is, we can't completely separate the CAC from Iolero in that regard.
Yes,
So
and
that's just another wrinkle.
so can I ask you the and so question, which is, are you advocating a position for the group to take, or who is? I'd like to hear the advocacy about it if someone is.
Well, I feel like Mike does, and I think you do as well, given your.
I'm gonna listen for what you say before I
It was a
agree.
very-
If you don't mind.
At least a very conservative opinion.
It's beyond conservative.
Okay, so
It's somebody could imagine a way to challenge and therefore don't do it. That's what I read ultimately. Somebody could imagine it.
and so I agree with you too, as with that legal analysis. So if I would advocate that we say, no, we're gonna go ahead and do it. And see what happens in response to that decision tonight.
I totally agree, and we should give this letter to the press. To show that this seems like advocacy to put a lid on any candidates forum or public discussion about Measure P.
So I will say that I did a little bit, I don't have access to legal sources in the way that I used to when I actually practiced law. But I did pull up a UC General Counsel advisory that was non-confidential, and which basically says many of the same things that Carr's letter said about the risk and the balance, and and the fact that even informational activities can become campaign activities if not handled, exactly properly. But it says the university, this is under permissible, nonpartisan election-related activities. That's the headline, and I sent this to Carr before our conversation this morning. The university may also host, or in some cases sponsor, candidate forums, so long as such forums are organized and conducted according to specific rules that ensure they are nonpartisan, including that all legally qualified candidates are invited and those participating are given equal opportunity to participate in such forums. These activities run the risk of crossing over into prohibited political activity, depending on how the specific activities are operated. And frankly, it was this that sort of triggered my desire to have the conversation with Carr this morning and see if there was any way we could come to some kind of mediation about this, some kind of agreement about how we could proceed. I was told no, I accepted her position and I'm reporting it to you tonight. And I'm sorry, I'm only looking at the lawyers. I apologize.
I wanted to start with the lawyer side.
So, I mean, this could go on for a little while still.
Okay, well, Jennifer has to leave.
I just, see if my kids that might have a childcare issue, but who's gonna pay that? What is the date of your, do you have a date?
We don't have a firm date.
That was gonna be my next question is what would need to occur between now and the next time we meet? What's the imagined time for this? Because okay, so you were right that I believe that this legal advice is unduly conservative. Unduly conservative.
We want this represent your position.
I appreciate it. I much appreciate it. I hate being misrepresented. I can screw it up myself just fine. So, yeah, I think the advice is unduly conservative and prevents something that is useful to the community. That's a problem. I also understand a lot of the practical, and those mean a lot to me. The relational things, the practical things, the funding things, the fact that we would be asking for Iolero to help us put this on in this environment now that's been described here. And, you know, we serve multiple roles here. We're big kids. We try to wear a few hats. You know, one of the hats that we wear is working with county authorities, understanding what their policies are and why, looking if there are other ways to achieve our goals. I mean, I'm certainly not in a position where I'm looking for a contest of wills over how is the public going to hear what we think it's important for the public to hear. Perhaps there are other avenues. You know, all of that comes to mind. So, you know, if this is the last opportunity to be heard on this, I personally am gonna, you know, before everything gets cast in stone and we're throwing down basically, you know, I'm gonna say, I think this group is creative and knows a lot of people and can put individuals that care to, can work outside this body to put on the forum that we're talking about putting on. However, if this is not the last opportunity to be heard, I'm interested in, you know, pushing the question back to the administrator and saying, we really want to do this. We think it would be useful. We think it can be structured so that it is it's a reasonable risk. Some risk has been identified. We think it's very, very low. We're willing to work to make it as low as it can possibly be. That's where I'd ultimately like this to end up.
And we're absolutely fine with following the law in doing this. And we don't, I think this is enormously wrong opinion, legal opinion. Not just conservative, it's just flat out advocacy against Measure P, public discussion.
Let me, oh, go ahead, Tom.
So I was just curious, so on our website, it says that this forum will happen the 4th week of September. Right?
We have an ad hoc committee that,
It's on the Iolero website.
yeah,
It says the 4th week of September. So I mean, so have the candidates been invited to a forum?
I'm not on the ad hoc.
Well, this kind of put a skid on it,
Yeah.
we think.
Well,
We had
I
talked
understand.
about September 24. And
I am sure put a skid on it, but it's just on the website, it says a week, it says the 4th week of September.
And we debated putting it on there, I think.
And then, I'm just curious, were people actually invited to it, or was that just put on there as a?
I thought someone did reach out, but I don't know if I actually heard or not. No.
Cause I mean, I ran into 2 of the candidates that had seen it on the website, but one of them brought it to my attention. And they were pretty, I mean, I'm just letting you, I mean, they were pretty unhappy that it was on the website that there was a candidate forum that they weren't actually invited to yet. So just. I mean, it's,
That makes sense.
we're not managing it very well. So not to say that I was all for doing this, but, and I don't know where I am right now, but I don't. we shouldn't be talking about having a candidate forum without actually making sure the candidates can attend.
Let me just, yeah.
But I think we have to
Let me
make
say
sure the
this.
county ain't gonna arrest
There,
us all.
Well, now, yeah.
The ad hoc was a surprise to anybody else. I think the members of the ad hoc were as surprised as anyone else to get this. July 27th letter. That made things come to a screeching halt. I'm just saying that to the public. I'm not, I just think we need to understand the sequence of events. So that there was a date decided on. We wanted to, I think, well, I won't speak for the ad hoc, but there was a date decided on within the ad hoc. And within Clean, who had agreed to co-host it. And then things came to a screeching halt. And so, yes, it got posted precipitously as it turned out.
Right. It was on the website on July 23rd. So even before the letter, it was already on the Iolero website of the week of the forum. So I was very for this, and I'm just trying, I mean, if we're gonna do it, okay, but I think we should make sure everybody can attend, because if we're only gonna do it for a couple of candidates and a couple of people want to be there, then I'm not so for it anymore. So.
Well, they'll all be invited.
Who are the members on the ad hoc? Because even the minutes say members discuss potential September dates. I don't think we discussed a specific date. So I don't know how that date even got on the website. Are the ad hoc members able to tell us?
Yeah.
Or Iolero staff?
It was part of the news, it was mentioned last meeting.
Yeah.
And so it was added on that newsletter that got onto the website, but that newsletter was removed from the website, so it's not there anymore.
But how did so the minutes say potential September dates. That doesn't mean September 23rd. Where did that specific date come from?
It was the fourth week of September, Lorena, not a specific date.
That's what it said I have a screenshot of it, it says the 4th week of September.
Yeah.
So not September 23rd?
No.
Right.
Okay. I do remember we talked about the last week of September or something, but we created an ad hoc committee. I can't even remember who was on it. And Nancy offered to connect that ad hoc committee to Clean. And this is from like what I can remember, because remember, like there's this thing called pregnancy fog, I guess is like a thing. But from what I recall, that's what was discussed, and someone would reach out to Clean, and then we were inviting all of the candidates to attend this online forum that we were gonna be doing. And I volunteered to create a form to collect questions from the public, just like we did for the sheriff's forum. So I don't know if any work has been done by the ad hoc committee, but I think John Azevedo brought up good points. In relation to the letters, I would say that I agree with the comments that were made by CAC members, and that the way I read it, and I remember Casey brought up the idea that we should do this. We put it on an agenda, and that's how we created the ad hoc committee. And I didn't think there would be any issues, because I see it as a forum that we're doing as a group to educate the community on how these candidates feel about certain topics that are of what are the subject matter of the CAC and of interest to the community. We aren't using the forum to make an endorsement of any candidate or anything like that. It's just so that they could answer questions, and then the community can take that information and do what they want with it on election night. And so some of the information that I read from what was provided by Kara says, don't use funds for campaign purposes. It provides, there's like definitions for the word use, and then there's sections that say that we aren't prohibited from using public resources for providing information to the public about possible effects of things like bond measures or ballot measures or state activities. We just have to be really neutral. And I feel like we were able to accomplish that when we did a sheriff's candidate forum. So I didn't think there would be any issue with doing one for the Board of Supervisors. And so I kind of thought the same thing as tonight, that if everyone thought it was a good idea, we kind of stick to a similar format and go for it. But we do have what Nancy brought up, which I forgot. And I actually spoke at a Board of Supervisors meeting and brought this up before. There isn't a clear separation between Iolero resources and CAC resources, even though we're like separate. So I feel like that could be a problem. And the way that we advertise things too, I understand how this whole thing got triggered by saying Iolero and the CAC. And I guess I missed that when I was reviewing the newsletter. I don't recall if I did say anything on that or not. But it should be the CAC. And I also don't remember if when we did a sheriff's forum in the past, if we mentioned Iolero, but Iolero did help with the flyer, the QR code that we created, the form, and things like that. So it gets messy, but it's all done, or our intent is to be neutral. And I think that's really important. It's not us campaigning in favor of any specific individual. So I would support whatever the CAC wants to do. I can see both sides. I'm more in favor of continuing to work on a candidates forum, but if we have to do it as individuals through another organization, I think we can do that as well.
I do agree with Michael and Casey on these letters being, I mean, they seem pretty, I'm not an attorney, but they seem like a pretty conservative position. My question is, if Measure P was up for discussion, like on a ballot initiative, would that make us be silent as an organization because we can't address anything? I mean, so that would be my other question, going back to the county administrator and county council, is just like, when can we voice something as a CAC? So, especially if it pertains directly to this group, I mean, we should be able to have an opinion and advocate for or against. I don't know. It just seems kind of.
I think when it came to Measure P, we were not allowed to advocate. Well, that was before, yeah. I remember I also participated in like a Spanish kind of informational thing. It was during the pandemic, so I just remember it was all online. But we couldn't say whether we were for or against it. We just talked about what it was going to do for the community and, like, again, educational purposes, and not telling anyone to vote one way or the other.
I think that was hosted not by CAC, but was hosted by the predecessor organization that was hosting, that was advocating.
Could we post that going forward is my question. Because
I understand. Yeah, absolutely what your question is. I do understand that.
Yeah, so.
Can I ask a practical question? So there's been some contact, it sounds like, with Clean. What happens if this body through its ad hoc or whatever communicates with Clean, but we're not going to be able to do this, but we have some people who are interested in assisting Clean and whoever in working this thing up and providing it so the public can get this information. is it gonna go forward? Do we have any sense of whether it would go forward? Independent of this body being a sponsor of this event?
So. As the liaison between the two organizations. Clean is going to meet on Friday to decide what to do, and, you know, given the outcome of what happens tonight. I will say that there will be other candidates forums not focused on this issue, but there will be other candidates forums. Hosted by other, not hosted by the county. Let me suggest another thing. I mean, if people, I understand that, you know, I would love for us to come out and say, you know what? We really want to do this anyway. We don't think this advice is great, but given the interplay between Iolero resources and the CAC, and we haven't talked, and I'm not gonna put him on the spot to say what you would do. My alternative is to say that we should say loud and clear that we disagree with this, and that in the future, we are gonna go forward with these, and we will go. But given the timing of this, we're not prepared to do it with an interim director a month before the schedule.
I'm in favor of that, Nancy.
But I think we absolutely have to make a statement about this. I mean, I understand how it came about, and I understand that it's not, you know, but I just think that that advice was way too conservative. And even the part about the department, you know, about the county departments using this. I mean, if you look at that UC, and they're not talking about some volunteer commission of UC hosting candidates forums. They're talking about, you know, staff, faculty, students hosting candidates forums. People who are going to be using state resources. And I don't understand why state, you know, they certainly have a lot more risk than a county does in terms of potential liability.
The problem is using the resources for advocacy. It's two
Right.
parts. And if it's not advocacy, then there isn't a limitation on the resources.
No, we have to get permission. We have the administrative issue of.
Agreed. I agree.
That
I agree.
administrative situation in which we would be asking Iolero for use of their resources, which is also another problem with our setup here, where we don't have any independent resources to use.
Can't we set up our own Zoom? I mean, how hard can that be?
It costs money to set up
I'll
one.
pay
There's a
for
limit,
it.
there's a limit, but yeah, you have to pay to get over a certain.
I'll donate the money to do it. It really is ridiculous. You know, Measure P created Iolero and the CAC. Measure P is in our bailiwick. That's what the citizens wanted. That's what we're here for. And this, for the county to say we can't have a bipartisan, nonpartisan candidates forum without any advocacy at all, that wouldn't cost the county pennies and probably nothing, is absurd. And I think we should call the county's bluff and go forward and do it.
Let's get some public comment, or are there more comments you guys have? If not, we'll turn it over to the public.
Okay.
Okay, I see Susan's hand is up. Let's do
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Okay, I got it.
First, I would point out that we have had a number of examples of county council being wrong. Also, you know, maybe just make a joke. If we wait long enough, Trump will do something and he'll get the Supreme Court to ratify that it's fine. And then he'll be fine. But I agree that you should do it. And I think you can do it in a very fair way. I just came back from my daughter. She's an academic and I started a book that she had. And it was the point of this book was that we are now in an era of creating opportunities for public engagement, public involvement in their governments from local to national, and opportunities to speak out and be involved. So that's what we are. And what they found for a long period of time, a whole bunch of people studying this, is that the more we've had this, the worse it's actually been for the public. The less we've been listened to than we were before, because they created so many rules that it has totally neutered the concept. And we're not seeing that. And we need to fight back. And I'm hoping you will. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I see another hand raised in the back.
Yes.
Next to
Carl.
Tony. Oh, hi,
Carl.
Carl.
Hello, everybody. Carl Tannenbaum, Sebastopol. A couple of things. I actually was at the last CAC hosted candidates forum, not in uniform. I was running for sheriff. So tonight I'm here to address the county council's opinion regarding the community advisory council's proposed candidate forum. This opinion reflects a troubling, persistent pattern where the county shifts from managing legal risk to adopting an extremely conservative position that actively suppresses community outreach and limits public transparency whenever independent advisory bodies try to engage and educate the public. In the memo, County Council concludes that federal and state laws prohibit this nonpartisan forum. However, that conclusion lacks statutory backing. In fact, the U.S. Office of Special Counsel's Hatch Act unit reviewed this specific issue and confirmed the Hatch Act does not apply here. I have a letter from the Hatch Act Division of the United States Department of Justice addressing this specific issue. This letter and the opinion explicitly stated that using public resources for a neutral, nonpartisan forum open to all candidates is fully permissible under federal law. It is deeply disappointing that County Council chose to ignore the federal government's clear guidance. The opinion also misinterprets California law. The California Supreme Court in Stanson versus Mott and Choice in Education League versus Los Angeles Unified School District explicitly ruled for public education and debate, utilizing county facilities for an open, equal access civic event does not violate government code sections 54964 or 8314, as was stated earlier today. Stanson v. Mott provides a clear legal roadmap for safe, informative public forums. Instead of applying binding case law, the county council relies heavily on the NACOL Code of Ethics. While ethics are vital and an internal code is not statutory law and cannot manufacture a legal prohibition where none exists. Turning an organizational code into a barrier against voter education is another example of a restrictive tactic used to bottleneck community transparency. Furthermore, the Brown Act regulates quorums. It does not ban a public body from holding a properly noticed public nonpartisan event. Public confidence suffers when the county continually acts to handicap its own boards rather than foster open dialogue. I request the county council withdraw this memorandum and this opinion and issue a revised opinion that accurately reflects legal standings. The county should act as a partner in civic participation, not an obstacle to public transparency. And as was stated earlier, I suggest the CAC stand their ground, take a position, and move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the room?
Hold on one second.
Can I take a picture of your letter,
You could-
whatever you're referencing, so I can send it to him? Yeah, thank you.
I'm Liz Finn,
Liz Finn.
Liz Finn, Sebastopol. I support what I just heard, but I wanted to ask this clarification. Could you invite candidates here to better do your job, to you know, become informed, you gather information. And then this is a public meeting and it could be announced. I mean, this is, I'm preferring this position, a stronger position, but it just is occurring to me, this is public. And don't you have the, isn't it within your work to gather information from these candidates to better do to know their views so that you can better do their views, implement your work. So so this could be a public forum itself. I don't know if I'm expressing myself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments in the room?
Barbara Brissette. Barbara Brissette.
Yeah. So
Barbara.
I'm a member of the planning, just so you know, this is Carl and Nancy. I agree. I think the CAC should stand their ground. This group's charter is to be that interface to the community. And I can't think of anything that's more relevant to what you are about than the education of the community when it comes to two vital elections. This is the first time in decades that we've had supervisory elections go to a general election. That says a lot. The community is engaged here. I don't know if you guys watched the letters to the editor during the primaries. Measure P came up time and time again. We have been fighting for 6 years to implement Measure P. And the Board of Supervisors has an integral role in supporting that implementation. And so it's important for the community to know where these people stand on implementing Measure P and on what we've been fighting for. I can't think of anything that's more central to what the CAC is all about. So I think that the county counsel's office must have over 24 attorneys, right? You have 24 attorneys. You could not provide an attorney for this meeting. And by the way, you have 24 attorneys. If you're so concerned about this meeting being impartial, have an attorney sit on the ad hoc and make sure that from a county standpoint that they feel like the questions are equal, the forum is equal, that we've done all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Because all this community forum is to do is to just be a place where citizens can learn more about an issue that's really important to them. An issue that 64.7% of our population voted for 6 years ago, and we're still struggling.
Thank you.
Jim Duffy.
Go ahead, Jim.
So the 2018 in-person forum was held at the Santa Rosa Veterans Building. We had 200 to 300 attendees, and it required contract signatures from county counsel's office and insurance mandates. So this, oh, we didn't know there was previous forms, is a bunch of bullfinch, okay? The actions speak louder than words. Many members of the CAC and most of the oversight advocates often say that the county executive's office, the county supervisors and county council are biased against transparency, accountability, and effective oversight of the sheriff's office. And this is just proving it. You're doing it again. You know, and I didn't think you guys could sink lower, and you keep doing it. You get worse. The actions of Supervisor Hopkins, the county counsel's office, and the county executive's office are shameful, corrupt, and undemocratic. And you should definitely move forward with this forum.
Thank you, Jim.
In the room?
Anyone else in the room?
No, Alcina on the Zoom.
Hi,
Go
this
ahead,
is
Alcina.
Alcina Horstman. And I would just like to echo what other people on the floor have said, particularly what Barbara said in terms of not sending an attorney, not offering to support to make it non-partial. And I don't think I need to add anything else, but just add me to the group. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else online?
No.
Okay, thank you. We will close public comment and bring it back to the CAC for a final discussion and possible action. So what do you guys think we should do?
So I think we should. I'd like to move that we go forward. Well, actually, let me take the step back. I'd like to hear from the ad hoc whether you feel capable of pulling this off with assistance from Clean if it was approved tonight.
Frankly, I don't think there's a lot to it. It's figure out a Zoom forum, set the date, invite the 4 candidates. Put together questions, invite county council to be involved in putting together the questions. It doesn't seem real difficult, so I absolutely think it can be done. And maybe not by the 4th week of September, because I guess we gotta wait and see if we're all gonna get arrested or not. But without question, we should go forward. We cannot stand silent in the face of this and let this scare us away. We just cannot do that.
Anybody else on the ad hoc want to? I'm sorry. I just was asking the ad hoc if there were any other concerns or.
I mean, there's logistical concerns. I'm with Michael, but I think it's doable. It's getting tight. I think we need to get some agreement from the candidates that they will participate. I guess that's the next logical step. I mean, if everyone says no, then there's no event, so.
Yeah, that does seem first step, that we reach out to those 4 candidates and see if they can.
If everyone doesn't say yes.
Well, all they have to be is invited.
Well.
I think they all have to be invited.
That's
have to go.
arguably when you start running into at least beginnings of a whiff of advocacy. And so, that, to me, that would be a line I wouldn't want to cross.
John wants to speak.
So I'd be supportive of moving forward with this. If we kind of, because I agree with most of what Michael said, but I would do it differently. I would ask the candidates, do you want to participate in this? And if so, when can you? And if the candidates, for whatever reason, say, I don't want to do it, okay, fine. But whichever ones that do, we need to find a date that works for all of them that want to participate, in my opinion. Not us set a date and see which candidate actually shows up. So, because I'd look at it a little differently, because in a perfect world, you'd have all 4 candidates. You definitely want to at least have the majority of them, right? So you don't want to have one person show up. Yeah, cool, we have a candidate for one person. So I mean, that's my opinion, and that does create a little bit more work. And if that means it can't happen by the 4th week of September and it has to go into the 1st week of October, who gives a crap? It's a Zoom meeting. It's all good. But I really would like to see at least an effort to get as much participation as possible.
I think perhaps we come up with, a couple dates and invite the 4 candidates and tell them this is what we're hoping to do.
It's a doodle poll.
And see if they
It's a
can.
calendar doodle poll. It's
Yeah.
not a big, you just figure out what date works for the most of them. And if they say, I don't want to do it at all, then that's a statement and that's fine.
And I think the law only requires that they all be invited. I don't think the law requires they all attend. They can make their own choices if they want to attend or not. But I think the law, as I understand the law, it only requires they all be invited.
I agree with what John and Michael just said, and I would say that we propose some dates, and we let the candidates know that we want to talk about like what the topics would be. I'm trying to see what our minutes say. And then I would say that we make an announcement so that way it's also publicly announced through the CAC that we invited these candidates to talk about things like Measure P, law enforcement oversight, and things like that. And then that way, if they choose not to attend, it's on them. And at least it shows that we are being transparent. Everybody was invited and they had a conflict or chose not to attend. I think we should add that as like one of our actions if we're gonna move forward with this. Let them know that, oh, here, we're gonna talk about law enforcement oversight, including Measure P implementation and immigration is what we said we would include in our question solicitation. John?
I have a stupid question. So if we decide to move forward with this, which I think it sounds like a lot of us are in favor of, but we don't ask the Iolero office to assist us in any way, how do we advertise for this?
I don't know.
We let the press Democrat know.
I'm
We can all reach out to people in the press and.
We have a list, right?
I mean, I can assist as well. Yeah. But I think we should be careful about using resources from Iolero. I think that's fair. Like, I think we should firewall that, so there's no discussion about that.
Yeah. I think there is a way to do it. We have lists that have been created by community engagement committee, I believe. I'm sure that there are community members who will volunteer to help us get the word out. So we can do that. I would agree that maybe we should try to do this as just a CAC without using Iolero staff or resources.
So I'm gonna try and propose a motion. And the motion would be that we move forward with our ad hoc committee to co-host a candidates forum with Clean without relying on Iolero resources. And that we ensure that we have invited all candidates with the explicit description of what the form will contain. Or will cover, excuse me. Did that cover it all?
I think so. Okay.
Okay, that's the motion. Is there a second?
I second.
What was that?
Miller.
Mike Miller, seconded it.
No, I mean, was that call the vote?
Yeah, Chair,
Aye.
Vice Chair,
Aye.
Councilmember Wood,
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez,
Aye.
Councilmember Asuda,
Right.
Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries. There was some conversation about releasing or doing something with the communications that we got. Was there something that you guys wanted to propose, or should we just move on to the next business item?
Well, we posted those letters in our meeting here today, so I don't know that if they're part of the public record such that Ms. Endicott has copies already. But if not, then I would make a motion that we send those letters to the Press Democrat.
Okay, and they do have to be added to the
let me say
website.
We have moved to waive it. Now you all can do whatever you want with those letters. Okay, there's no prohibition. Anybody can send them. We don't have to order Lizette to send them to Marissa or to the Press Democrat. Anybody can send them to her. They should be included, however, in the minutes of this meeting.
Yes.
And on the website where we post our agenda material.
Then that problem's solved for me then.
Yeah, it does make a statement for us as a body to do.
Yeah, that's true.
It's gonna be on, there.
Fair, no, it's released in a sense.
Solved.
She heard this conversation.
She did. She was on, yeah. Well.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, then we will move on to business item C. discussion and possible action on the statement drafted by the Iolero Investigative Authority Ad Hoc Committee that calls for a Board of Supervisors to direct County Council to identify legal impediments, if any, to the Sonoma County Sheriff issuing live barger garrity admonitions. Sorry for the long title. Nancy and I were debating on how to name this business item. So I'll let the ad hoc present the item.
I'll let Casey speak to it because he drafted it up in notes. It was his.
Sure. So this was originally prepared as something like
Can we point to page 13 of the
Yes.
agenda packet?
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Casey.
No worries. Thank you. This was originally prepared as something like a media release. And it had 2 points. One was to, make an announcement of something that has now been announced weeks ago, which is what the Supreme Court did with the lower court ruling in the subpoena litigation, which was to refuse to review it, therefore making the ruling in favor of Iolero, I'll say to shorthand it, final. So that was one purpose of this, and the other purpose was to identify what I'll call the Liebarger issue, to shorthand it. Everybody's heard this discussion, I think, multiple times. And to make a very clear request to the Board of Supervisors to direct County Council to take some action that would assist in breaking the logjam as we understand it on getting Iolero having the authority to have its questions answered when it investigates Sheriff Department activity. So the only thing that I personally would suggest that we change about this, it's lost urgency in terms of, informing people what the California Supreme Court did. That was weeks ago. But I would suggest that that title simply become the ray line of a letter to the board from our chair and vice chair, as we have done in the past, that makes this real clear statement about what happened in the court, and that says, hey, this is the problem that Iolero has centrally identified based on our understanding of what's going on in Iolero investigations. There's a disagreement. We see that asking the county council to analyze and pronounce on the legality of the logjam breaker, which is, the question is Sheriff Ingram legally prevented from ordering deputies to truthfully respond to questions from Iolero investigators and to discipline them if they refuse to do so? That's the question that we're saying to the board. Direct the county council to answer this in a public opinion. Seems to me like those are all good things to do starting tomorrow. We just put to the Board of Supervisors on the top. We have our officers sign the bottom, and that's it. Anything you want to add?
One grammatical
Of course you can.
suggestion,
Of course you can.
that if it's going to be a Ray, that it be rejected, Ray, California Supreme Court rejection of, rather than rejects.
That's fine.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna ask an administrative question, but, what is the reason of writing a letter to the board versus just asking county help?
Needs to be in print.
The county council has greater authority than we have.
The Board of Supervisors, that's great.
I'm sorry, the Board of Supervisors has greater authority than we have to ask the county council to take an action. There is, as it was last presented to me, there's a conflict between two departments in essence. And the Board of Supervisors weighing in to say, we need this answer in order to drive this issue forward seems like the best way I can imagine to get this answered.
The only reason is in my discussions with them over this issue, right, the CAC has authority to ask county council, because there was a discussion about how does the CAC ask for information from county council? And that's my only reason for sharing that, right, you're welcome to share it with the board.
Here's what I'd say.
may wanna ask
I would
Frank.
say if the county council won't weigh in and do this, that would be an interesting fact. And if they don't, sure, we'll be happy to. That would be my
The Board of
attitude.
Supervisors.
Right, that's, yeah.
If the Board of Supervisors won't ask.
If
that,
they
we
won't
can
ask county council
Yeah.
to do that, that would be
Just give
That's
them
all.
a-
quite
So the
interesting. Of
intention
course,
is to
thank
see
you.
The board's position, that's what this does, if you're looking to have the answer, you can have.
I mean, the board is,
That's
Yeah.
a different thing. So
Yeah,
that
we'd
makes
like to
sense.
see who on the board
That
doesn't
makes
want
sense.
this question
I just
answered.
want you to know you have authority, the CAC has authority to ask for information directly, see it, so, but I understand the context that you're asking.
Casey, can I ask for clarification? It's a brief one. In the second last paragraph, it indicates Iolero disagrees with the statement about the sheriff's interpretation and asserts that California law empowers the sheriff or the deputies to answer Iolero's legitimate questioning. I assume that was something that you may have had discussions with the prior director.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
My position right now as interim is I was not aware, and I can't represent that that's the position that I'm
Okay.
aware of because I was not involved in those. And so maybe suggest that it's a open question because I can't affirm that because I wasn't involved in it in the past. So I don't want to be a misrepresentation that that's what I have interpreted. Because I haven't looked at it.
Thank you. Why don't we say Iolero's previous director?
So you've not looked at that?
No, I have not looked at the particular issue.
So
So I kept a file on that statement that was from the prior director.
this is how. This is basically under the first paragraph under the star line. Iolero's previous director disagrees and asserts that California empowers.
Yeah,
That's it.
John definitely disagreed, no doubt.
Anyone else?
I move we send it as modified.
Public comment.
Let's take public comment first. Is there anyone in the room who has public comment?
Do it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Ditto, please do it, This
Okay,
is
let
the
me
next
just-
logical step.
Is there a second to Mike?
Me.
Okay. Public comment.
We just had comments from Jim Duffy.
The comments are ditto, 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 ditto. I think that was it.
Anyone online?
Nothing, no.
Okay, we'll close public comment. We have a motion on the floor. Before we vote, is there any final comments from CAC members? Are there any? Okay, seeing none.
With the changes identified by Nancy, right? That with the changes that we've discussed, including
Okay,
Matthew's
title.
comment. Yep,
the title and previous director.
yep.
Okay, so that was a motion made by Michael Miller, seconded by Nate?
Yeah.
Okay, and Lizette, can you take the vote, please?
Sure. Chair,
Aye.
Vice Chair,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Councilmember Marquez, Councilmember Escobedo, Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
and Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Thank you, the motion carries. And thank you, Casey, for putting that together. And to your ad hoc committee. Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, before we go on, I want to make sure that the letter Mr. Tenenbaum got from that Hatch app council is part of our record.
Yeah, we can add that. It's like a resource provided. Okay. Moving on to business item D, discussion and possible action to establish an ad hoc committee to assist with the recruitment and selection of the permanent Iolero director. So at the last meeting, we had Spencer from Human Resources speaking on the process that was going to be used to hire the permanent Iolero director, and we decided we would have an agenda item at this meeting to select an ad hoc committee to work with Human Resources in that process. So I don't know if anyone has put any thought into joining another ad hoc. I know it's something that's important to us and to the community. I don't know if you want to add anything, Nancy, or we just ask for volunteers to join the ad hoc committee.
Is there any questions about what it entails? I was on the last one.
Was.
Yeah. We remember,
That's a long time ago.
I'm old.
Yeah. It would be good to have people on ad hoc. I'm tapped out, I cannot do it, so it can be me, but I encourage others, especially who haven't done it in the past. To participate.
Your public comment. Lorena.
Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll take public comment now.
I'm just wondering if part of the charge of this ad hoc would be to submit questions that will be asked of the candidates, because I think folks on this committee, because of the work you've done, you have really unique knowledge of what's needed in a director that does not exist in the Human Resources Department of Sonoma County. I can guarantee you that, because we've had these problems before. And so I think it would be really important for that, you guys to be able to submit 2 or 3 questions that don't get edited.
So let me say a little bit about that process. They will solicit questions and actually solicit ideas from the public about the characteristics, the qualifications, that kind of thing. And, there is one place where people can have a say in what ultimately gets included in both the job description and in the assessment of the various candidates. I'm trying to remember at the time there were questions. I think that the ad hoc did participate in the formulation of the questions. Because of everyone was asked this, all candidates were asked the same questions. And it really, the big burden, if there's a burden about it, if there's a time burden, the big thing is a 1 day of interviewing candidates when they come up with they came up last time with 6 finalists, and we spent a day interviewing all 6 of them, and then assessing them and rating them and providing that information that was taken and helped HR reduce the number of 6 candidates to 3 that they then presented to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration.
So the ad hoc committee was involved in that day, and okay.
Yeah, I was involved pretty much, Spencer involved us and quite significantly in the decision. In the process of getting to the final candidates and then assessing the final candidates. I will say that they don't give you the names or the information about the candidates until the morning because for essential confidentiality reasons. Which is understandable.
I'm really sorry if this was covered and I was spacing out, but what has been the discussion about what this group is going to be able to do in this recruitment, if any?
All of that, what I just said.
All of what you
Yes,
just said.
Spencer,
Okay.
Spencer came in and with Jennifer and David.
Yeah.
David Hewin, and and Spencer presented and said essentially they're following this, they're gonna follow the same procedure. He actually emailed Lorena and me today saying, let me know as soon as you have an ad hoc, because we want to start the process, and so we need to get them involved. So in fact, whoever does that, your names and emails are gonna go to Spencer tonight. So.
Yeah. There's also a community stakeholder survey that we already have a draft of that they want edits and comments on from whoever gets on this ad hoc committee so that they can send it out around September 1st. Because they're supposed, from that survey, I'm guessing is where they'll select the panelists for the interviews. Is that correct, Nancy?
From the survey?
Yeah.
The community survey helps identify issues that are important, the quality, experience.
Oh.
Of people who, that the community wants to see in the executive director.
Got it. Yeah, so there's already a draft that they have. So it'd be very involved in a good way.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and volunteer to be one of the members of the ad hoc.
Me too.
Who's that, Casey?
Yeah.
How many are we gonna have?
We can have up to 4.
Well, I don't wanna take a spot unless, if someone's dying to do it, but otherwise I'll be glad to do it.
Okay, I think you got it. Casey, Michael, and me.
Okay, thank you. And can we put the names in the minutes this time, please, so that we don't forget who's on?
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you for volunteering. Okay, and Nancy, you will email Spencer tonight?
To me more.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, was there any more public comment? Sorry, I never closed public comment. I don't think there was any more.
Yeah.
Okay, it's officially closed and we kind of worked in there.
Judith Gilbert wants to say something. Judith Gilbert on Zoom.
Hi, yeah, so it's just a follow-up. I'm happy to help with the dissemination of the forums to social media groups that I
That's
know.
for our prior item. Thank you for offering, Judith. Please, you can email Iolero and Lizette will forward us your email address so we can work on that. The ad hoc will work on that. We're just taking public comment right now on the ad hoc committee for the recruitment of the Iolero director. But thank you for your comment. We look forward to connecting with you. Okay, we're going to close public comment on this item, and I think we have our established ad hoc committee. So now we can move on with the agenda, and it is 8 p.m. I think we can, if you guys are all okay with it, skip number 6 and 7 and move on to number 8. Yeah. Okay. So this is the CAC committee reports, and we'll start with community engagement.
That's me. Susie Martin. I recently stepped into the role of chair of the community engagement committee and communications ad hoc. So my first priority has been to understand the work already completed, build on that foundation and move forward. The ad hoc met recently because I had some ideas. First, to review our SMART goals that we discussed, developing the framework for practical and sustainable. What I think we need is a communication plan, which I think will fit in if we have a communication plan in play with a lot of things that are happening at all the things that we do at the levels with CAC to make it easier to get the information out, where it goes, how we should frame it, all those kinds of things. I think that's very important. So I brought that up. I want to thank Raina for helping me through all this because she's been very helpful. I'm very new and fresh to this. I'm not a lawyer. There's a lot of information here and this committee, this whole CAC does a lot. I'm seeing that in the last couple months I've been here. You guys are really absolutely fantastic and I am very happy to be part of it, to learn more and to be able to commit more and assist more in getting the public's representation to the table so we can discuss those issues that are important to the public. So what I wanted to do with the communication plan was to focus on fundamental questions that we want to address first. Who are our priority audiences we must need to reach? What we want them to know about the CAC more than anything? Which communication and outreach channels we can realistically sustain. The current ones we have, do we have something that we haven't seen or haven't addressed? What can we do to make sure we have a good communications list and what that works, how that works? And then the other thing is, how do we measure the success of those communication levels? Because if we don't measure them, we can throw them aside, the things that don't work on new ones that work better. So we can address them. How do we create consistent messaging? There's a lot of messaging that we have here in the forum of CACs. We do a lot of messaging, but I'd like to see and work out a plan of how we can come up with goals that everyone has a voice of how they want to discuss that, but within a framework that the committee agrees on. That's one framework. So we're all one voice at any given time and any given issue, but with individual voices among that. From there, we'll begin moving from planning into implementation. So a lot going on. Identifying specific audiences and community partners, which I think we do have, but I think we just need to focus more on there, working with Lizette and figuring out what that all looks like. Look at our current outreach tools and channels, and we want to develop consistent messaging, like I said. Importantly, we want to be useful. We all want it to be useful and sustainable, meaning we can take from this committee, from our ad hoc here, and any ad hoc going forward can follow the regime of what it looks like easily. So it just continues beyond us. And of course, we're continuing to move forward with our SMART goals. We'll have to address some of them and make some changes for dates because I'm just new to all this and just a lot of things are going on. And there's very few of us on the committee, by the way. So I'm gonna also ask for any additional individuals. Maybe the public wants to be part of the ad hoc committee or additionals. I know we're all inundated, but we do need more individuals on the committee. Finally, that's what I said. Yeah, exactly. SMART goals. We want to be. I want to present another SMART goal. A measurement that will measure all the things that we do and how we do them, and continuous improvement. So that would be 4 goals instead of the 3 that we addressed. That's where we stand.
Sounds great, thank you.
Thank you. ICE and immigration.
So we are in the final process of preparing a document that we will bring to you all that we would like to then take to the sheriff to ask that it be distributed to people who are receiving notifications that ICE is interested in their release date. And this document would outline, I think there's 6 or 7 resources that are available to them that they can contact to help defend against the ICE removal. So that's what we're focused on right at the moment. We are also looking to assess, is it a new, relatively new now, not so new now, matrix that we are taking a look at to make sure we understand what triggers a response to the notification. So what happens is ICE sends the sheriff's office essentially a request for notification of the release date. There's a criminal matrix, criminal offense matrix that they use to decide whether or not they're going to respond to that. The sheriff has made a couple of efforts to reduce those, to narrow the offenses. He narrowed them from probable cause to conviction last year, I think, right, Brent? But he did a little more reduction earlier this spring, and we're looking at that to see if we can understand what the changes are and how they impact it, and we'll go from there. And then finally, we'll be looking at the issue of whether we should recommend that the county no longer, or the sheriff no longer cooperate at all with ICE. And we have, I think we've reported that once with the Board of Supervisors ad hoc on that issue, but they've already come to their conclusion.
Thank you. For the language access ad hoc committee, we haven't had a meeting, but we did coordinate on a date for that training that Lieutenant Kidder mentioned. And then I also haven't actually told my ad hoc, but I've been a little bit scattered with like elections and stuff where I work because I have to handle those. So what I'm reporting now to my ad hoc and to you all is that I've contacted a lieutenant or a captain in the city of Campbell, and then someone in the tech department of Stockton, because they actually use that AI technology that Axon provides for the body worn camera kind of translation. And I wanted to just get an idea of how it works in the field in highly escalated situations, and see if they've implemented it and maybe get like some comments on how it's working for them so far. But I haven't heard back. So I will be coordinating a meeting with our ad hoc to continue doing our work. And that's it. Sorry. Iolero Investigative Authority.
Yeah, we met end of last month. We basically finished off Casey's document to present here tonight. It was one of the work items. We also went through our SMART goals and kind of reaffirmed that we're going back to our original SMART goals, and that those all look good. We'll probably have to refine some dates, but that's all kind of working as imagined initially. And we're also working with the county executive's office a little bit, outlining exactly what we believe is necessary to implement Measure P. So that came up in last meeting, and we did point them to Measure P because it actually outlines all the little steps there, but we wanted to get a little more granular beyond that because there were some additional items there that we felt like we're missing, and so we're still working on that list. That list isn't done yet, so we do need to finish that, but we're working on get it over then. That's about the wrap.
Okay. Jail programming.
Yeah, there's not a lot new to report. We met a little bit. I apologize for that. I did get an email out to Rainier this morning for working on scheduling our next meeting, where we can kind of compile all the information from the 2 different jail visits that we had recently, and then just work up a strategy for how we want to do community outreach to get different people involved in supporting the programs there at the jail. So that's a lot to look forward to in our next meeting.
So
Okay, thank you. Candidates Night Forum. We added it here in case you guys want to provide an update.
We didn't meet, so yeah, we got hamstrung.
Okay.
Do we know who's on the ad hoc, I guess is the first question. I know.
So we know, It's Susie, Mike and Nick, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah. And we talked
And
about it. Yeah.
And
No-
didn't we
notice.
say that we were going to tell Casey that he was added, but he was just absent? Or did we just joke about that?
I can't do that, yeah. Since you weren't here again.
Yeah,
I think we
I
should-
don't know if
we'll see
I don't know
about,
if Casey's actually a
fine.
member. But I think you are able to join them if you'd like. Okay, and the candidates night forum did get some direction through our previous action. So we'll keep it on until we get through the forum, and then and that's kind of what we do as ad hoc start to complete their work, we just start removing them from the list. Okay, so now we'll take open time for public comment, and this is intended for non-action items from this agenda, like these reports, and for items not appearing on the agenda that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the CAC. Are there any comments for open time from members of the public? I see Jim Duffy has his hand raised, and let's just do 2 minutes in this section.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. Just want to flag for folks who weren't aware that this happened in the last month between your last meeting and now. This mysterious item appeared on the Board of Supervisors agenda to increase the campaign limits for the sheriff and the district attorney's office. And there was a lot of public, I have no idea where it came from. That's kind of the question I have for you guys is, where did this weird thing come from? I heard about it from an email from Susan, and then right after that, the Rises Collective put out a big call to people and said, this is outrageous, you know, and there was a lot of public kerfuffle, at least in the bubble that I operate in, and they got pulled from the agenda because it was bullshit to start with. But where did this come from? It is a question that I think is worth asking.
What meeting was that in, if you don't mind me asking? Which of the Board of Supervisors mean?
Last week, last Tuesday.
Yeah, but they pulled.
Yeah, they pulled it, but it was on the agenda.
And I was surprised it didn't end up in the PD. But what I was informed to be, you know, without a whole lot of attribution, was that it came from Mueller, the campaign advisor, the conservative one who backs the sheriff, and, you know, and that's actually where it originated. And obviously, to get on the agenda, you have to go through the chair, and we know that is.
Well, you mean the campaign consultant for forfeits of the Board of Supervisors?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
That guy.
Just
That
that guy. Well, that guy.
Okay, anything else? Any other public comment on issues?
So on any of these issues?
On any of the issues that were not addressed tonight, but are within our purview?
Well, I mean, on the ICE and immigration report, ad hoc report.
Yeah.
I think it's great, that, there's more understanding of the matrix, of the sheriff's new matrix. I don't think it's very transparent or understood. So the more explanation you can get how how he's narrowed it down, but what that is, there's always this continuous reference to the rapists, the you know, that are out in the community raping people. And, one question we have is, it's reduced to those who have been convicted. Have they served sentences? And so does, the turning these people over for detention and deportation, is that like double jeopardy? In other words, they've already been through one system of justice and now, and they've served their sentence or whatever. Now we create a second system of justice that they're exposed to. And then about that, system of justice brings up, related. since many of us feel like this system, the system of immigration enforcement are basically done by lawless, untrained, unconstitutional, I don't know, paramilitary force, there's a real question about how the sheriff, let's say, is going to, be called upon to intervene if there's a raid and protests. How the sheriff's office, who are they going to protect? And how does the sheriff's office view ICE? And I'd like the ad hoc group to address that or bring that up.
Thank you.
There's one hand over there.
Okay, yeah. Susan,
Earlier I mentioned this book that report on studies they've done about community engagement, and I planned to reserve it for the end, but it fit in with what's going on. But I wanted to bring it up because it explains how the public feels heard falsely, and they feel like they've made a difference when in fact they haven't, and it actually moves democracy backwards because people feel, oh, okay, I've been heard, now I can shut up. And the only reason that this organization exists and Iolero exists is because of us who refused to accept that. And, disrupted meetings and did all kinds of things to make sure that it happened. And we used to be much freer at CAC meetings. Now, Jim was on the CAC and he didn't like it when we were freer. But I thought it was particularly good that the point of this thing was that without some disruption, without some resistance and pushback, nothing actually happens. So tonight, I would like to thank you particularly for, I feel like I'm with like-minded people who understand that needs to happen. Then you're always in the middle of sort of a balancing act of, okay, we've got to obey the rules, but, and I just want to express my appreciation for your resistance tonight.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hands, no other hands.
Okay, we'll close public comment for open time and move on to requests for future agenda items. Are there any requests from CAC members? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to CAC announcements. Are there any CAC announcements? Okay, doesn't look like there's any. Moving on to item 12, discussion and possible topics to publicize. The CAC will, do we have any topics that you guys want to publish? I don't know if we're,
Beyond.
yeah, the forum without mentioning Iolero. Although I don't even know how, if it's the CAC's newsletter or the Iolero newsletter, because the CAC does contribute and reviews things. Well, Nancy and I do for the CAC, what goes in the newsletter. So I don't really know if that counts as it being our newsletter or not. But if you guys have any other ideas that are not related to the forum, please send them our way. Okay, moving on to item 13. We are going to adjourn this meeting at 8:19 p.m. Our next regular meeting will be on Wednesday, September 9th in the Finley Community Center. Thank you all for being here tonight. and we will see you next month. This meeting is adjourned.
Feel better, Lorena?
Thanks, Lorena.
Thanks. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for helping me. Bye.
Yeah.